Ladies and gentlemen, let them doubt you. Let them talk. Let them believe they know who you are. While they waste their breath talking about you, you're investing in your own growth. The biggest mistake you can make in life is thinking you owe anyone an explanation for your success. You don't owe anyone that. There will be times when people will question your silence. They'll try to pull you into arguments, debates, and distractions. Why? Because they can't handle the truth that you're growing without their approval. But always remember, success is quiet, growth is quiet, and power is quiet. Those who are truly making progress don't waste their time proving anything. They just do it. If you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're exhausted from people draining your energy, if you're ready to elevate your life, then stop explaining, stop announcing, and start executing. Keep watching, because today I'm going to tell you why focusing on yourself and embracing silence will be the best decision you make in your life. Your energy is your currency. Every time you react to negativity, every time you feel the need to explain yourself to people who don't care to understand, and every time you allow distractions to steal your attention, you're spending that precious energy. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stagnant isn't simply talent, intelligence, or luck. It's how they choose to invest their energy. Imagine if you had a bank account that only allowed you a limited amount of money each day. Would you waste it on things that don't bring you a return? Of course not. You'd spend it wisely, ensuring that every dollar was put to good use. Your energy works the same way. Every morning, you wake up with a limited amount of it. Where you decide to place that energy will determine the quality of your life. Most people don't realize how much they are draining themselves by giving attention to things that don't serve them. Arguments that go nowhere. Conversations with people who doubt you, seeking validation from those who don't respect themselves. These are silent thieves that rob your future without you even noticing. When you focus on yourself, you stop allowing these distractions to enter your mind. You start being selective about where your energy goes. And that's when everything begins to shift. Have you ever noticed a highly disciplined person wasting their time proving themselves? No. They don't have time for that. They're too busy building, creating, learning, improving. They're too focused on pouring their energy into things that will make them better, and that's why they succeed. Not because they were born lucky, but because they understood the importance of their energy. Meanwhile, the average person is trapped in the cycle of reacting. They get triggered by what someone said about them. They let little things ruin their entire day. They argue over opinions that won't matter tomorrow. They allow their emotions to dictate their actions instead of using their actions to control their emotions. But when you learn to master where your energy goes, you master your life. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have. It acts as a shield that protects your energy. It allows you to observe instead of react, to strategize instead of waste time explaining, and to grow peacefully while everyone else is distracted. The truth is, people want your reaction because it gives them control over you. When you react, you're handing them power. They know they can trigger you. They know they can throw you off track. But when you stay silent, when you stay focused, that's when you confuse them. That's when you take back your power. Your energy should be spent on things that make you better. On your goals, your vision, your self-improvement. Become so focused and so dedicated to your growth that you no longer have time to entertain nonsense. Ask yourself right now, where is your energy going? Are you using it on things that bring you peace, strength, and progress? Or are you wasting it on temporary emotions, pointless conversations, and people who drain you? Those who achieve greatness in life are not necessarily the smartest, nor are they the most talented. They are the ones who've learned to protect their energy. They don't feel the need to explain why they're working late nights. They don't defend why they're cutting off distractions. They don't waste time trying to prove their worth to people who never believed in them in the first place. They simply stay silent, stay focused, and let their results speak for themselves. The truth is, most people don't really care about your journey. They just want to see if you'll fail. They want entertainment, not understanding. That's why you must learn to reserve your energy for those who truly matter. Yourself and your goals. Let them misunderstand you. Let them think whatever they want. While they're talking, you're building. While they're gossiping, you're investing your energy into something that will change your life. The world is filled with distractions, but you don't have to be a part of them. You don't have to explain, argue, or react. You just have to focus on yourself, protect your energy, and stay silent. Because in the end, your success will be your loudest response. Silence is one of the most misunderstood strengths in the world. People expect noise. They expect explanations. They expect you to react, to argue, to defend yourself. But when you choose silence, you disrupt their expectations. You take away their power. you leave them confused. And in that confusion, you become untouchable. Most people believe power comes from how much you speak. They think that being the loudest in the room makes them important. But true power, true strength, comes from restraint. It comes from the ability to sit in silence while the world demands a response. It comes from knowing that you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Because the moment you feel the need to explain yourself, you've already given someone control over your emotions. Have you ever noticed that the most disciplined, most successful people don't waste time explaining their every move? That's because they understand that silence is not weakness. It's strategy. While others are talking, they're listening. While others are reacting, they're observing. While others are explaining, they're planning. Silence forces people to think. It makes them uncomfortable. When someone speaks and doesn't get the reaction they were expecting, they start second-guessing themselves. They wonder if they said the right thing, if they pushed the right button, if they still have control over you. And when you don't respond, they realize they don't. The world teaches you to speak up, to defend yourself, to always have something to say. But not every situation deserves your words. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every person deserves an explanation. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is stay silent and let your actions speak for you instead. Because here's the truth. People remember what you don't say more than what you do. When you argue, when you defend yourself, when you over-explain, you give them something to hold on to. But when you remain silent, when you walk away, when you refuse to engage, you leave them wondering. And that wondering is far more powerful than any argument you could ever have. There will always be people who try to provoke a reaction out of you. They'll say things to trigger you. They'll spread lies, question your character, and try to pull you into their negativity. And they do it for one reason, to see if they still have access to your emotions. But the moment you stop reacting, they lose. Because without your energy, without your response, they have nothing. Some of life's greatest lessons come when you learn to keep quiet. When you stop giving people access to your thoughts. When you realize that your energy is sacred, and that you don't owe an explanation to anyone who isn't invested in your growth. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that most arguments lead nowhere, most explanations fall on deaf ears, and that most people who demand your words aren't even listening in the first place. Have you ever noticed how those who talk the most usually accomplish the least? That's because they're too busy seeking validation, too busy explaining themselves to people who will never understand, too busy reacting to everything. But the ones who stay silent, the ones who focus their energy on what really matters, they're the ones who get things done. People who don't matter are too busy reacting instead of taking action. The ones who truly succeed, they move in a completely different way. They operate in silence. They don't announce their plans. They simply execute. They don't waste time arguing with people who doubt them. They just prove them wrong. And that is the kind of power you need to embrace. Power of not needing to respond. The power of letting people think whatever they want, while you continue to build, to grow, and to become unstoppable. Because here's what will happen. One day, the very people who doubted you will witness your success. They will see everything you built. All the while you stayed quiet. They will realize that while they were waiting for your reaction, you were out there creating results. So the next time someone tries to pull you into an argument, stay quiet. The next time someone questions your choices, stay silent. The next time someone expects you to explain yourself, stay quiet. Because in the end, silence isn't just a response, it's a statement. A statement that says, I don't need to prove anything, my results will do that for me. Most people waste their lives trying to prove themselves to people who don't even care. They explain their dreams to those who don't believe in them. They defend their choices to those who never supported them. They waste their energy seeking validation from people who will never respect them. And in doing so, they lose sight of the only thing that truly matters. Themselves. When you focus on yourself, everything changes. You stop explaining. You stop seeking approval. You stop waiting for permission to live the life you want. Instead, you start moving differently. You begin building in silence. You start making decisions that serve your future instead of feeding your ego. And that shift, that is what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. Most people never reach their full potential because they are too busy trying to impress the wrong audience. They care too much about what others think. They hold themselves back because they're afraid of judgment. They want to be liked. They want to be accepted. But the hard truth is this: not everyone will understand your journey. And not everyone is supposed to. When you make the decision to focus on yourself, you will lose people. You will lose friendships that were built on convenience, not connection. You will lose relationships that only survived because you were always available, always accommodating, always putting others before yourself. But in losing them, you will find yourself. You will gain a sense of peace that only comes when you stop chasing people who were never meant to stay. The problem is, too many people are addicted to validation. They post every move on social media because they need attention. They explain every decision because they need approval. They tell the world what they're working on because they need recognition. But real success, real power, comes when you learn to move in silence. Think about the most disciplined, most successful people you know. They don't talk about their next move. They just make it. They don't waste time explaining their vision. They simply execute. They don't beg people to believe in them. They just prove them wrong because they understand something that most people don't. Energy spent explaining yourself is energy wasted. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You don't owe anyone a justification for why you are choosing to level up. The only person you need to answer to is yourself. And once you realize that, you become unstoppable. But here's the hard truth. Focusing on yourself is uncomfortable. It means being alone with your thoughts. It means facing your weaknesses. It means doing the work when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is cheering you on, and that's why most people avoid it. They would rather be distracted than disciplined. They would rather be entertained than educated. They would rather stay the same than do the hard work of becoming better. But if you want to win in life, you have to make a choice. A choice to stop explaining yourself. A choice to stop waiting for approval. A choice to stop living for others and start living for yourself. There will always be people who don't understand your journey. Let them be confused. There will always be people who doubt your decisions. Let them wonder. There will always be people who expect an explanation. Stay silent because in the end, your results will speak for themselves. The moment you stop explaining and start executing, you take back your power. You stop being a performer in someone else's show and start directing your own. You stop seeking validation and start giving yourself the only approval that matters, your own. So focus on yourself. Move in silence. Let your growth, your discipline, your results do the talking. Because in the end, success isn't something you announce. It's something you prove. There's a certain kind of power that comes from being unshakable, from knowing who you are and what you stand for without needing anyone else to validate it. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you develop an inner strength that most people will never understand. Because the truth is, the moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you stop reacting to every little thing, you gain a level of control that others can only dream of. Most people are addicted to distractions. They fill their time with meaningless conversations, gossip, and mindless entertainment, all to avoid facing themselves. Always looking for the next thing to entertain them, the next person to impress, the next argument to engage in. And in doing so, they waste their most valuable resource, time that could have been spent building, improving, and evolving. But when you make the decision to focus on yourself, everything shifts. You no longer seek external validation. You no longer need to be part of every conversation. You no longer waste energy trying to convince people who don't matter. Instead, you pour that energy into yourself. You become the person who moves differently, who operates on a different frequency. And that's when the world starts paying attention. Not because you're loud, but because your presence speaks for itself. The most successful people in the world understand this. They don't waste time arguing. They don't feel the need to prove themselves. They don't explain their every move. They just work. They build, they grow. And while the rest of the world is busy talking, they are making things happen in silence. But here's the hard truth. When you focus on yourself, people will misunderstand you. They will say you've changed. They will call you distant. They will assume you think you're better than them. But what they don't realize is that your silence isn't arrogance. It's discipline. It's the realization that not every battle is worth fighting, that not every comment deserves access to your energy. Most people don't understand the value of silence because they have never experienced real focus. They live in a world of noise, of constant chatter, of endless opinions. They believe that success comes from being seen, from being heard, from being acknowledged. But in reality, true success comes from discipline, from consistency, from the ability to block out distractions and stay locked in on your own journey. When you focus on yourself, you develop a different kind of confidence, the kind that doesn't need to be announced. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to anyone, because you know that your results will do that for you. You stop seeking approval because you've already given yourself permission to succeed. And when you reach that level, you become unstoppable. But this path isn't easy. It requires sacrifice. It means walking away from people who drain your energy. It means saying no to distractions, even when they seem tempting. It means choosing growth over comfort, discipline over entertainment, silence over meaningless noise. Most people will never understand why you choose this path. They will question you. They will try to pull you back into old habits. They will expect you to justify your decisions. But you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't owe anyone your energy. The only thing you owe yourself is to keep going, keep growing, keep building, and keep proving everyone wrong. Improving and continuing to evolve into the best version of yourself is a journey that requires a shift in how you interact with the world around you. People often fear what they don't understand, and when you begin focusing on your growth, moving in silence, and not reacting to every small thing, people won't know how to handle it. They'll be confused. They'll wonder what you're up to, and some will try to provoke you, hoping to see a reaction. But this is when you know you're on the right track, because the most powerful person in any room is often the one who doesn't feel the need to prove themselves. So let them talk, let them guess, let them wonder, all while they waste their time trying to figure you out. You'll be too focused on building yourself, too busy growing, and too committed to becoming the person you were always meant to be. Success doesn't need to be announced. It needs to be demonstrated through actions. The key to doing that is by focusing on your personal growth and remaining silent. Many people get distracted and fail to make real progress in life. They give away their energy to things that don't contribute to their success. Pointless discussions, mindless entertainment, constant bickering, and the unending search for approval. They lose their focus, not realizing that the true path to growth lies in mastering the art of controlling their attention. When you learn to focus on yourself and remain quiet, you create an undeniable force around you. You stop letting the world around you dictate how you feel, and you stop reacting to negativity. You stop wasting time with people who add no value to your life. In doing so, you unlock a level of strength and power that most people will never know. Not everything requires your response. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every situation demands your attention. When you grasp this, your perspective shifts. You begin to protect your energy. You start moving with a clear sense of purpose. And that's when real transformation begins. Think of how much time people waste, arguing about things that don't matter, defending themselves to those who will never change their views, explaining their ambitions to those who don't even believe in them, seeking validation from those who secretly wish for their failure. What's the point of it all? Why waste your energy on things that detract from your personal development? When you learn to stay silent and focus on yourself, you become a force to be reckoned with. Your energy is now protected. Your mind is clear. Your actions are intentional. And when you move with purpose, when you pour all your focus into becoming better, stronger, and wiser, everything begins to change. People will notice the shift. They'll sense that you're no longer as accessible as you once were. They'll realize that they can't distract you, manipulate you, or provoke a reaction from you. This will make them uneasy because people are used to controlling those who are easily influenced, those who are always available, and those who constantly need validation. But when you pull back from this game and become unshakable, they won't know how to handle it. The most powerful people are not the loudest ones in the room. They're the ones who listen, observe, and move in silence. They don't waste words. They let their actions do the talking. They don't beg for recognition. They earn it through discipline. And because of this, they always come out on top. There's a reason why successful people guard their focus. They understand that every distraction, every needless argument, and every moment spent away from their goals is a step back. That's why they don't announce every decision they make. That's why they don't feel the need to explain themselves. They know that their time and energy are too precious to spend on anything that doesn't serve their progress. Unfortunately, most people don't understand this. They're addicted to noise, to drama, and to seeking validation from people who don't truly matter. They spend their time trying to prove themselves to others instead of improving themselves. And then they wonder why they aren't progressing. If you want to win in life, you have to make a choice. a choice to block out distractions, a choice to stop reacting to every little thing, a choice to remain focused, stay silent, and let your success speak for itself. It won't always be easy. There will be moments when you'll feel the urge to explain yourself, to react, to prove others wrong. But remember this, your silence is far more powerful than any argument. Your discipline is stronger than any explanation. Your results will always speak louder than words. Let people talk. Let them assume. Let them waste time trying to figure you out while you're too busy working, too busy growing, too busy becoming the best version of yourself. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that truly matters is not what they think of you, but what you do. There's something deeply powerful about a person who moves in silence. Someone who doesn't announce their every step, who doesn't seek validation, and who doesn't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you develop a level of control that most people will never experience. Because the moment you stop explaining and reacting, you reclaim your power. Most people don't get this. They think they need to be loud to be respected. They believe success comes from being visible, from being heard, from making sure everyone knows their every move. But in reality, the most successful people are the ones who work quietly, away from the noise. They don't waste time talking. They're too busy doing. The more you talk about your plans, the less likely you are to follow through. Talking gives a false sense of accomplishment. It tricks your mind into believing you've done something, when in reality you've only expended energy explaining instead of executing. This is why silence is so important. It helps you stay focused, disciplined, and puts you into action. When you stop announcing your moves, people will become curious. They'll begin to ask questions. They'll wonder what you're doing, where you've been, why you've changed. And that's a good thing, because now they're forced to focus on your results instead of listening to your words. Now your success speaks louder than anything you could say. But this path isn't for everyone. Many people can't handle the silence. They feel uncomfortable when they aren't constantly explaining themselves. They have an urge to justify their actions, defend their decisions, and prove their worth. But the truth is, you don't owe anyone an explanation. Your goals are yours. Your journey is yours. Your success belongs to you, and the only person you need to impress is yourself. People will always have their opinions. They'll always try to figure you out. But the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop feeding their curiosity, you take control. Now they have nothing to work with. Now they're left in the dark. And that's exactly where you want them. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you gain an advantage. You become unpredictable. People can't interfere with what they don't know. They can't sabotage plans they haven't heard. They can't destroy what they can't see. And that's the power of silence. It shields you from unnecessary obstacles, opinions, and negativity. Most people don't realize how much energy they waste trying to explain themselves, convince others, or prove their worth. But the truth is, the strongest people don't explain. They don't justify. They don't seek approval. They just do. And in doing so, they command more respect than anyone who talks too much ever could. When you stay silent, you learn to observe. You become more aware, more strategic, and more in control. You begin to notice things you never saw before. The true intentions of others, the genuine support, and the curiosity of those around you. That kind of awareness is priceless. So let people talk, let them assume, let them wonder while they waste time discussing your silence. You'll be too busy working on yourself, too busy improving, and too busy becoming the person you were always meant to be. Because in the end, the ones who win aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who work the hardest in silence. The choice is yours. You can waste your energy explaining yourself to those who will never understand. Or you can invest that energy in becoming the best version of yourself. You can let distractions pull you in all directions. Or you can protect your focus and move in silence. You can seek validation. Or you can let your success do the talking. The strongest people aren't the loudest. They're the ones who know the value of discipline, the power of focus, and the strength of silence. They don't seek approval. They seek progress. They don't argue. They outwork. They don't announce. They execute. So step back from the noise. Stop explaining. Stop reacting. Stop looking for permission to be great. Move in silence. Build in silence. And let them wonder. Because when your results finally speak, they will say everything that words never could.